All right, here we go. Live, Chris's yard, doing a special yard mow. I have been thinking of this for about 3-4 weeks probably, and then it's been nothing but raining out here, and I haven't even mowed my lawn in. I think it's been I think this is the third weekend or something. I can't even remember, it's been so long. But it's been raining really hard. It rained yesterday really hard. Got like 1 3/4 inches, really windy, a lot of leaves all over the place. Got it cleaned up a little bit. A lot of the neighbors got the yards cleaned up too. So here's what I'm doing today. I'm doing a mow. I got everything dialed in. I got everything set up. Got the mower ready. I'm going to do a mow, and I'm going to do a height of cut adjustment, and I'm going to do the putting green. And just kind of, like I said, something I've been thinking of doing for quite a few weeks, but just never set it up. So got it set up now. Gonna do it. Gonna go ahead and get this lawnmower started here. I'm gonna adjust this camera and get to mowing. So I'm gonna try to keep the mower. I know my microphone's gonna cut out, so I'm not really gonna talk. Do some talking when I do the blade adjustment. I'm all set up. Probably going to be a really messy mow. Wraps wet. Cutting at 9 millimeters right here. I talked about this before. My main focus on my channel is, besides my plane, the main focus is road mowing. I have one set up for a putting green when I do the putting green. So I can see on the camera that the color of the grass is blue grass. Extremely green right now. It's 1:30 on the west coast So after I'm done mowing, I'm going to pull my mower out. at the amount of worms in the backyard. It's not so bad. Hard on down on cut along the bottom here because so before I just trying to work through a little the stuff. So I have a couple cameras that, because of the way they're connected, they just are very temperamental and they tend to go out. So I'm going to just tilt the camera down here, and I'm going to do a blade adjustment. So I can do the putting green now. Probably just going to move one of the cameras back in here. I don't know how far my cord's going to go here. So let's see here. Okay. So it's going to take just a second here, just kind of going through the motions here of what a normal cut takes me. So to adjust the blade height, I'm going to, oh, of course my battery's dead. But I have one on standby. There we go. Okay, so we just got to loosen up the cross rod. Loosen up the 4 bracket adjustment bolts. And this is just loose, so it will slide. Now, my putting green is really overgrown. I haven't decided. I think I'm going to just do it at 5 millimeters and see where that puts me. 5 millimeters is less than 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to normally do 3 or 4. So what I've done here is I've loosened the connecting rod. That just tightens everything up. Then I've got 4 bolts on the side I loosened so it can adjust these. And then I'm going to turn, what is that, counterclockwise. I'm going to do both of them at the same time. Zero out my gauge. We're at 5.5. So there's 5. This one's at 6. Okay, gonna call that good. 5. I always tighten up the first. I'll lower these down. Okay, so that's a drop in 4 millimeters from 9 to 5. Gonna do the putting green. Move this camera back here. My ear out. Let's see if I can get those working. Okay, I have no idea why those went out. Let's see here. Okay, looks like the mic's working. GoPro. Okay, looks like my camera view refreshed. Just give me a moment here. Try to see if I can get a refresh on my yeah, it looks like this camera is just not working. Probably overheated. Get this one going. Okay. Refreshed. Plus the lawnmower. So we got 3 views going. Okay. All right, it's not going to take long to mow the, I don't think that view's working. All right, get this done. Trying to make this as quick as possible. Turn my air compressor back on. So yeah, between the sun behind me here. There we go. Zoom this out a little bit. So this is a putting green cut at 5 millimeters. Basically did a whole seed. Sun's really bright. It's just crossing over from one of the Wi-Fi connections to another. So that's the front yard. They won't. Let me take this off, see if I get this GoPro. Oh shit. That was good. So look at that. There's the grass mode. Um, let's see if I get this. See if I can get this connected here again. So I was going to try to go around the backyard. So I know my microphone's not going to work, so let me take the camera off this. I'm going to connect my mic to here. Yeah? Okay, it came back on. So I was trying to cross over the microphone to my phone here, but oh well. So that's a live mow. Like I was saying, just had the idea to pop this up and do this. It's kind of an end of the season type of a thing here. Uh, everybody's doing their fall nitrogen blitzes and reseeding videos and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to show off my lawn here real quick. So my Canon view right here is not working the greatest because the wind knocked my camera over. And I don't think it enjoyed that very well. Let's see here. No, it's just not working at all. There we go. So I don't really have much else going on. You're getting ready for the season. I'm trying to think of some new things to do next season with the lawn and the yard. Like I said, I have some things going on in the backyard, but I just don't think this camera's going to work enough. And this mic should work on there. If you give me a moment, I'm going to try one more time to get this mic working because yeah, so I just think that microphone doesn't want to do the crossover. It's either got to be on there or not on there. I tried everything I could to get that microphone working, but it's not going to work. So, I'm basically dealing with worms right now. I have my neighbor's yard, Wilson. I've been working on it and doing a lot for him lately. And I, let's see here, I can add a view of his yard. It's looking really nice. He's the guy, I redid his side yard, and I've been working on his front yard trying to get it nice and greenish, green it up because it was looking a little shabby. Hadn't been fertilized. It basically just needed some nitrogen. I threw with 2 treatments of about a pound of nitrogen 2 weeks apart, and that came back really, really well. I've been mowing it for him, and I told him I'd mow it because I've been adding the nitrogen. It's going to make his yard grow. And he's a real busy guy, so I don't mind doing it. And I haven't been mowing much lately, so I mowed it a couple weeks ago for him, and I mowed it yesterday for him, just to get that looking good for him. It really looks great. I have a video on here I could show you. It's good. It would take me a second to link it up. I could do it real quick. Create. Just take a second. Okay, here we go. So this is a side yard. That's all. Nothing else. Mowing, mowing, mowing. We got to keep on mowing. This is the front yard. Yeah, getting it done. Whoops. Screwed that up. Too bad. This is... Sorry, Wilson. Didn't make a little mess here. Oh shit. I really screwed this up now. Maybe I had the volume up too loud there. Just gotta watch my... I don't hear any audio from that coming through, so I'm not sure if that was coming through or not. Anyways, so this was Wilson's front yard. I got my neighbor across the street, Doug. His yard from his lawn reno is coming in nicely. And then I also have my neighbor Kathy did her yard reno. You know, we did a little bit later in the season, and it's really struggling to grow and fill in. It's doing it very, very slowly. It's Kentucky bluegrass, and it really has just started to, yeah, just work slowly. So I'll put some video up of that. I don't know, in a couple weeks probably. You know, we're winding down. I got a couple other projects going on, and been learning about a few new things I want to talk about. Not ready to talk about them yet, but you know, my biggest thing when I'm putting across information on my channel, I'm really trying to put across information that is, you know, accurate. You know, I'm talking from people who know what they're talking about. You know, I talk about this all the time that YouTube lawn care channels really full of a lot of bad information, you know, and I've been doing hard research on things. Like, you know, I've been into composting. I've been composting my yard a lot. And, you know, the one thing I didn't realize about composting, I just watched a whole big symposium on it and watched a guy go over a research paper on composting and things like that. And, you know, composting is just adding a bunch of phosphorus in my yard. And, you know, I don't need that. And I realized that's probably why my backyard has a large amount of phosphorus, because I did compost it at the beginning of the season when I did the addition back there of grass seed and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm a fan of composting because it does great things for your yard. You know, it basically makes it so if you compost your yard, you don't need to use any type of phosphorus at all. There is no triple 13. You don't even need to use that anyways. You know, we've talked about, you know, how your turf grass, your grass is taking up nutrients. and you could dump as much, NP and K on your yard. The grass is only going to uptake nutrients in a ratio of 4:1:2. Talked about this 4:1:2. That's like 4 nitrogen, 1 phosphorus, 2 potassium. So it doesn't matter how much phosphorus and potassium you add to your yard. If it's already there and available, your yard's not going to take up any extra. By you dumping it on more and more and more, it's not doing anything but just not, I don't know the right term to use for it, but you're just overloading your soil with phosphorus. You can cause leaching, you can cause runoff, all those sorts of things. You just don't need it. All these people telling you to do it are just wrong. You don't need to do it when you're seeding. Now, of course, if you're deficient in phosphorus, potassium, you got to add it. But most soils are not deficient in these nutrients, and you just don't need to add them. By adding them, you're not adding any extra benefit for rooting. You're not adding any extra benefit for new seeds. None of that stuff. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, then yes, you can add some, but you only need to add a little bit. What's in the soil and what the nitrogen can uptake or create, help the grass to uptake, is all it's going to do. If you just have a little bit of nitrogen in your yard, the grass is only going to take up a little bit of phosphorus and a little bit of potassium. If you have a lot of nitrogen in your yard, your grass is going to take up more. But these nutrients just aren't deficient in your yard, in your grass, in your soil. Micronutrients, I'm sorry, not micronutrients, microorganisms. That's the word I'm looking for. Those are the kinds of things that are going to be added as well when you're using composting and things like that. But your microorganisms in your yard are going to be producing the enzymes. They're going to be producing the phosphorus. They're going to be creating all that good stuff, and they're going to be there. You don't need to add extra things to try to increase your population. Like the sugars and the other things that people talk about. So, anyways. That's my yard mow. It's probably the last good day of the season for me. We'll kind of see what happens. I'll probably put together another live with some information, because I have been doing a lot of research on a lot more information, just trying to straighten everybody out on what's your yard really needs, and just trying to help people out instead of thinking you got to go out and get an aerator and aerate your lawn. You don't have to. A homeowner should probably never has to aerate their lawn. Even people with clay soils, it can be done. It probably needs to be done more on the clay soils for compaction and things like that. But your roots are going to be able to grow into these soils and things like that. The clay side, yeah, you're going to have a little tougher time with it. Aerating's not going to hurt anything, but if you have a good CEC number in your soil, and I was talking about CEC on my soilkit.com, Malic 3 testing. They give you the CEC numbers through it into your turf grass. So okay, so that's all I got. I'm just going to go ahead and end it there. I hope you enjoyed the mow. I was trying to do something a little bit different. I had been thinking about doing this for many weeks. Finally did it. Finally got to get everything out here and do it. Probably still need to work on some of these camera connections, though. They just didn't seem to cooperate very much. So I'm going to adjust my mower, my McLean. I'm going to adjust it so I can cut that putting green just a little bit lower. And then I'm going to get my Honda out, my rotary mower, and I'm going to just do some vacuuming of the yard and call it a day. So that's what I'm going to do. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day with the shorter sun. Well, not the shorter sun, but the shorter amount of daylight we're getting. Up in Western Washington, we lose sunlight like crazy this time of year. It just less and less and less every day. And now with the time change, it's just going to be, even worse. It's just going to be darker earlier and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.